Captain's crew, the LFA family, McGroin Nation, coming to you live from the deep red state of Tennessee on rumble.com/LFA TV. Welcome to Ungoverned here on a Wednesday. We're going to be here for, surprise, 2 hours today, covering the first hour of Live from America, Jeremy's hour, as Jeremy is enjoying a vacation, which is nice, and then we will have to jump from that to the Michael Patrick Leahy show. Be joining Michael Patrick Leahy virtually today, and then after that, I'll be on a show in the United Kingdom with friends of Nigel Farage, which is just going to be wild. It's quite a day, lots to do. It's going to feel like a Friday with the amount of content that's going on there. So we've got a ton to get to, a lot to get to. New York City. Think back September 12th, 2021. Everyone said never forget, right? September 12th, 2021. It was never forget. And now, June 24th, 2025, New York City, how quickly they forget. How quickly they forget. I'll tell you, it's disappointing, it's disheartening, it's depressing to see just how far that city has fallen. And I am no fan of Andrew Cuomo. I am in no way, shape, or form saying that, I support Andrew Cuomo. I wish he never crawled back out from underneath the rock that he buried himself under when he resigned as governor of New York back in 2022 or 2021, whenever he resigned. I'm no fan of his. I lived through his crap when he was the governor during COVID. I'm no fan of his. No, Sean does not mean 9/11, 2001. I mean the day after 9/11, 2001. That's why I said September 12th, 2001. Someone in the chat said I mean 9/11. No, I mean 9/12. Because there's the old analogy is the day after 9/11 is the day everybody put their flags out. Just to clarify what I'm trying to say. I'm no fan of Andrew Cuomo. But there's no doubt, and I can't believe I'm going to say it, but there's no doubt, none, that he was the lesser of two evils, which says a lot about New York City. It says a lot about New York City, doesn't it? That the two choices for the Democrat nominee for governor was a jihadist socialist who was running on price controls and government-run supermarkets in New York City. What is it going to turn? Is it going to look like Venezuela? Is it going to look like Venezuela? And Andrew Cuomo. And for the folks who are holding out hope, and I don't blame you for holding out hope that Curtis Sliwa can find a way to win, that the Republicans may have a chance, that there may be enough ticket splitting, right, between Eric Adams, and there's rumors that Andrew Cuomo now is going to run as an independent for mayor, and I wouldn't doubt it because he's stubborn. Look, you've got to understand how New York City voters operate, okay? You got to understand one thing. This is not like other places in the country. It's not just a blue district. There is a group, and there's voter fraud there too. So let's not discount that, but not enough to do this. And even if Republicans rallied behind Eric Adams, he's still going to lose. The numbers game in this city, it doesn't matter. Democrats, and especially a guy like this socialist, they're going to come out in numbers and vote for this guy because they're motivated by the far left. Face it, at this point, it's over. It's over. New York City is going to elect in 5 short months, not even, is going to elect a jihadist socialist mayor, and it's going to look like London. Even if Republicans get behind Adams, even if Andrew Cuomo throws his weight behind Adams, Bill Clinton, all these big New York players, it doesn't matter. Whoever the Democrat nominee is in those elections wins, period. That's the way the city is right now. I'm not saying don't try. I'm saying don't get your hopes up. Don't get your hopes up. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying don't try. And it's not because Curtis is a bad candidate. It's because the electorate in New York City is essentially a monolith in that whoever runs as a Democrat wins. Period. Period. No but, no what if, no whatabouts. Whoever runs as a Democrat in New York City wins. Period.
Eli emailed you a link. Trump's live right now.
Trump is live right now. Okay.
And hello. Oh gosh, I'm so sorry. By the way, I'm back with a mic.
Yeah, we've got him. We've got Brennan mic'd up. Trump is live.
I just ate the mic.
Let me see. Trump is live. I'm gonna try and cue this thing up. I'm gonna try. Okay, he's participating in a press conference. All right, let me see what we got here. Yeah, the press conference. All right, Trump is live right now. I will cue that up in just a second. As a matter of fact, while I get this queued up, let me tell you a little bit about My Patriot Supply. It is mypatriotsupply.com, 4th of July sale. mypatriotsupply.com, and then we'll go right to Donald Trump's press conference. mypatriotsupply.com/ungoverned, mypatriotsupply.com/ungoverned. Huge 4th of July sale right now. Folks, every 4th of July, I think about what it really means to be free. It's not just the fireworks. It's not just the cookouts. It's remembering that our freedom was earned, and keeping it means taking responsibility for ourselves and our families. Look at this right here on your screen, 4th of July sale. That is why I encourage you all to shop at My Patriot Supply. They are an American-owned and operated company that helps me stay prepared for whatever comes, from storms and blackouts to shortages, supply chain issues, and a whole lot worse. Listen, you can stock up on emergency food kits, water filtration, solar backup power, and you can sleep better knowing that your family is covered if things go sideways. Right now, mypatriotsupply.com is having a huge 4th of July sale. So if you've been thinking about getting prepared for emergencies, this is a great time to do it. Shop the sale at mypatriotsupply.com/ungoverned. If you believe in self-reliance and personal responsibility, if you believe that freedom is worth defending, shop mypatriotsupply.com/ungoverned today. That is mypatriotsupply.com/ungoverned, mypatriotsupply.com/ungoverned for the 4th of July sale. It's a great sale. mypatriotsupply.com/ungoverned. Okay, let me work on getting this this press conference up. Donald Trump hosting a press conference. He's out there in NATO. He's at the NATO summit right now, and I'm going to try and pull this up and get this loaded up for you. As Donald Trump, let's see, this is on Rumble. I got it. I'm going to try and do this as best as I can. And I also figured out. You remember the issues that we used to have with the where it sounded like helium, right?
Yes, helium. Trump was the best.
I think those problems are going to be over. We will have avoided that. So we will see, and I'm going to try and make this happen. Let's see what happens. There's oh boy, now it's coming through this. Why is that happening? All right, hold on. Let me see what I could do here. I'm trying to get this queued up. I had no idea he was going to do a press conference today, and it always throws things off. Let's see what the heck is going on here. No, we want. Hold on. Yeah, this isn't working, guys. Let me try something. All right. I don't know. Do we want to hear the press conference or what? Because I don't think we're going to hear it. It doesn't seem to be working here.
I can hear it.
Yeah, but you're not going to see it. Presser. Let me see. I'm going to try one more time. Whenever I queue up Rumble, it always seems to be a mess with it's giving me nothing but the chat, so I have no way to do it. This is what I'm getting. It's just the live chat here. I have no way to do it. Guys, I'm sorry. I'm not going to be able to go to the press conference. I can't do it. I don't know why. And now I can't stop hearing it in my ear. So this is a mess.
Hold.
Yeah, I can't stop hearing it now. Hold on. This threw the whole thing off the rails.
No.
God, I don't know what to do.
Oh, no.
It's not funny.
It's
No, it's not. No, it isn't. It isn't funny at all because now all I hear is Trump in my ear and I don't want to hear him. So we have a huge problem.
Still hear Trump?
I don't know.
Can you guys hear Trump?
I hear Trump. Do you guys hear Trump right now? Because now all of a sudden, because he had to host a press conference, now I hear nothing but Trump. So this is great. I don't know what I'm going to do now. I can mute it, but now we're not going to hear anything. All right. Donald Trump is hosting a press conference. I have no idea how to get that press conference up here. Rumble just destroyed my stream, and now I'm going to have Trump's thing in my ear for the entire stream. I'm thrilled. I'm just elated. All right. Well, we'll see what we can do. I'll see if I can find a way to stop it. It's not going to stop. And apparently this is how it's going to be today. So we're going to go into New York City. I have no clue how I'm going to stop it. And that's just how it's going to go. Yeah, this is a mess, a total mess, you know? All right. Where was I? New York City, right? New York City. Let's go to OFP Farms, and then we'll reset after this. Folks, OFP Farms is a family-owned and operated, patriotic, America-first goat farm providing quality goat milk products for everyday use. Soaps, lotions, lip balms, all-natural pain relief, and, of course, beard products. You don't want to miss what they got going on their website right now either. They have a large collection of goat milk products enriched with vital nutrients of essential vitamins, minerals, and fatty acids to help promote optimal skin health. Not only are their goat milk products and lip balms top-notch, like the Revolution soap, like the We the People soap, right? Like the Outlaw soap. But they've also got the best lip balms in the world, and they have thousands of five-star reviews that folks like you have left us. Thousands of five-star reviews like folks like you have left OFP Farms. Everybody appreciates the business and the support that you've shown this American business, small business. So go ahead and slather on the goat milk goodness and magnesium products and make your skin great again. That's OFPFarms.com. Use the promo code Sean, S-H-A-W-N. OFPFarms.com, promo code Sean, S-H-A-W-N. OFPFarms.com, promo code Sean. That is S-H-A-W-N. OFPFarms.com, promo code Sean for 15% off. Again, that is OFPFarms.com, promo code Sean for 15% off. I don't know if any sound is still coming through. I've got no idea what is happening right now, but let me see if I can get rid of what is causing the problem. Maybe it will be, no, it's still coming through. I could tell already. There he is. I have no idea how to stop this. So this is going to be very interesting for the next 2 hours. It's whatever. All right, New York City. Let's get to New York City because whatever Trump is saying over at NATO, as much as I want to hear it, I would prefer not to hear it right now. Let's get into what's going on in New York City. The New York City mayoral primary was last night. The New York City mayoral primary was last night. And unfortunately, in the New York City mayoral primary, we had something that you don't want to see, which was a Democrat. Okay, not just a Democrat, but a radical left-wing socialist Democrat has won, essentially, has become the nominee for the Democrat Party going into 2025's mayoral election. He is a radical jihadist. He is a socialist. He is somebody that ran on government-controlled supermarkets, government-controlled, well, that's essentially what it was, government-controlled grocery stores. It's a mess. It's a total mess from that standpoint, right? So what does that mean for New York City going forward, right? What does that mean for New York City going forward? What it means is the way the city votes, unfortunately, and it's not something that I'm proud of, but it's just Again, I'm trying to be realistic here about it. The way the city votes, okay? The way the city votes, New York City is not going to elect a Republican right now. It's not that they're never going to do it ever, but they're not going to do it right now, okay? The electorate is slanted in such a way that there really is, numbers-wise, no way that it's going to happen. I'm not saying don't participate in elections. You always go, well, what do you mean? Are you telling people not to vote? No, I'm not telling people not to vote. I'm telling people, and I'm essentially saying that the numbers game that's happening in New York City will not support a Republican nominee. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So I don't know what to do in terms of, or what to tell you in terms of New York City voters. I don't know I don't know what the answer is. And I don't know what what you do if you live in New York City other than leave. You have to leave. You got to get out. Now, Andrew Cuomo, for those of you who remember the Love Gov, Andrew Cuomo is one of these guys who, he's like an STD. He's never going to go away, right? He's never going to go away. I don't know if he's going to run as an independent. I don't know if he's going to run at all. He sounded like last night he was just straight up conceding. But I lived through Andrew Cuomo. Many of us lived through Andrew Cuomo as when he was governor during COVID. He was oppressive. He was a tyrant. He was an authoritarian. He was somebody who, he was one of the ones who was touted by Anthony Fauci as the quote unquote the gold standard of COVID. He was devastating for the state of New York. Absolutely devastating for the state of New York when he was the governor of New York. Think about some of the rules that we saw implemented in New York State, and they're the punchlines of many jokes now. Some of the rules that we saw implemented in New York State with regards to Andrew Cuomo. I finally stopped it. Holy cow. With regards to Andrew Cuomo and his COVID policies. Let's think back. The lockdowns, right? Andrew Cuomo was able to decide and figure out who was essential and non-essential, right? Which businesses were essential and non-essential. Andrew Cuomo was the one who decided that. The government was the one who decided that. If you ran a small business and you opened it, you were fined. You were threatened with jail time. This is Andrew Cuomo. He was the one who decided to beg President Trump for a hospital ship. He was the one who decided to beg President Trump for the resources when the pandemic was just breaking out. He was the one who decided to, he was treating it super seriously. He had those long, drawn-out press conferences. And then when that hospital ship showed up in New York City, what did it do? It sat there empty. Empty. Thousands of beds on that ship, empty. Where'd those people go? Into nursing homes. He decimated the elderly population in New York. Decimated them. When the vaccine started rolling out, he was all about it. The schools, the masks, the curfews. How about those curfews? 1 week, it was 11 o'clock. The next week, it was midnight. No reason, no science, nothing. The food at the bars. You could go into a bar, you can order a beer. Now, all of a sudden, because too many people were going to bars, they said you had to order food. No problem. Bars serve food. Andrew Cuomo decided that buffalo wings did not count as food in New York City. I'm not making it up. These are things that actually happened under Andrew Cuomo's rule. And yet, and still, Andrew Cuomo would have been a better choice. I can't believe I'm saying that. Andrew Cuomo would have been a better choice than Zohran Mamdani, who won that election last night in New York City. Andrew Cuomo would have been a better choice. I can't believe I'm saying that. Jackie's listening in the chat. She's like, we went to Andrew Cuomo's house. We protested in front of his driveway. We were doing Cuomo's Gotta Go. We hated this guy, and I still don't like this guy. He closed the park down on. He would have been a better choice than this Zohran Mamdani guy who just won in New York City in the mayoral primary. Now, for a long time, I had thought Andrew Cuomo was a shoo-in for this race, as did many, but Mamdani defied the odds, and, good for him. But I'm going to tell you this now. There's a lot of people who are like, no, you don't understand. It's just, it's just the Democrat nominee. The Republican can still win. I'm sorry. I don't believe in fairy tales anymore. I'm not saying if you're a Republican in New York that you're not going out there and you're not going to try. But I'm telling you, the only thing that you have to hope for, the only thing, is that Adams still has some pull in the city, which I don't believe he does. Andrew Cuomo has to run as an independent out of spite, and I don't believe he's going to do that. Well, not that I don't believe he's going to do that. I don't think he's going to make a big enough impact. You got to remember, Eric Adams won that election in 2021, I think, with almost 80% of the vote. Let me see. NYC 2021 mayoral results. Okay, let's take a look at what the margin that you have to make up is. Okay, in 2021, the mayoral election, Eric Adams won that 66-27. 66, so there's 33 points. You're not making that up. Especially, by the way, especially not against a socialist that motivates the radical left in New York City. This guy is he's charismatic. I'm not saying I like the guy. I'm telling you what draws leftists to this guy. He's charismatic. He's young. He's quote-unquote progressive. He's Muslim. There's a lot of, Muslims in the city. I saw someone say, no. The Jews won't let him win in New York City. Not like the Chewbacca, this crowd, right? It's the That's not what I'm saying. That people were saying that the Jewish voters won't let him win. That's not true. If that was the case, then why did he win the primary? This is a look, New York City. I mean, tip of the cap to you guys in New York City. You found a way to get worse than DeBlasio and Andrew Cuomo in one night. In one night. Look, it's not a shot at Curtis Sliwa. I've had my disagreements with him. It's politics. I think he's perfectly fine to run as mayor. I think he would do a great job as the mayor of New York City. He's the guy I'd vote for. No way in hell would I ever vote for Eric Adams, by the way. No way in hell. I get it. He got the pardon or whatever it is, or the DOJ dropped the case, and, Adams is cooperating with the border.
Is Eric Adams the Google?
Yeah, Eric Adams is Mayor Google. Yeah. Eric Adams is Mayor Goo Goo. That's who it is. But, I see people who are like, oh, we got to get behind. Like, there's people on social media. We got to get behind Adams now. I'm like, yeah, you could do that.
You can Google that.
You could Google. You could use the Google machine. And we could do that. We could Google that. You could Google that. I'm not getting behind Mayor Goo Goo. Sorry. How about Mayor Goo Goo gets behind Curtis Sliwa? But he's the incumbent. He's running for re-election, and he has no chance. He couldn't even run on his own party's ticket. I get the well, what about, and look, there are definitely different outcomes. It's not going to, it's not a 100% certainty, but I would say it's probably 98%. It's probably 98% that New York City is going to be led by a Muslim socialist. That's just the way it's going to be. I hate to, I'm not trying to shower bad news on you, but there is no good news here, right? There is no, and Owen Bin Schroyer, one of the woke right, just F sticks on social media, he came out and said the following, right? Here we go. Owen Bin Schroyer is one of these. The Jews, Chewbacca's here, ready to go. Okay? This is what he said about this particular issue. He said, make no mistake about it, Mamdani's win in New York City tonight is the first sign of Israel fatigue reaching the voting booth. Yes, they will literally vote for a foreign-born socialist as long as he doesn't knee for Israel, as Cuomo did. This will reach 2026 midterms and 2028 presidential. Guys, if you are simping for a radical jihadist socialist, you are not one of us. You are not MAGA. You are not America First. And you are damn sure not a patriot if you're simping for Zohran Mamdani because the Jews hurt your feelings one day.
That's his name?
Zohran Mamdani.
Stop it right now.
Yeah.
That sounds crazy.
So the next mayor of New York City is going to be a guy by the name of Zohran Mamdani.
He sounds like a Star Wars character.
Yeah, he does sound like a Star Wars character.
I hope all those feminists with them tickle bitties out are
That's
ready
it.
for Sharia law.
That's it.
Because they're
It's
not
coming.
going to be able to do that anymore.
Rumor has it the Statue of Liberty is already being fitted for a burqa. There's a meme that Speak sent me this morning. It's sad because I remember September 12th, 2001. Never forget. June 24th, 2025. New York City forgot. And they forgot in a big way. All right. We're going to move on from the New York City stuff. I'll tell you, a pothole, as much as people hate potholes in the state of New York, a pothole would win the race for mayor in New York City if it ran as a Democrat. A pothole. Not a joke. Not a joke. Not a joke, man. Not a joke. All right. Let's take a quick break. Thank goodness I got Trump's name press conference out of my ear. You don't know how distracting that was. Oh, my gosh. That was the worst. Thankfully, that's done. For some reason, when he hosts a press conference, I can only pull it off of YouTube. When I do it off Rumble, it gives me like it's a total DEFCON 7. It's insane. All right. And the issue is the way the thing I don't know. It's a whole thing, but it wouldn't stop. And there was a hidden feed somewhere in all of my scenes, and I had to find it and like weed it out like a virus. It was very scary. Anyway, let's get to a word from one of our new sponsors, and that would be Silent, SLNT, silent.com/Sean. You know, there's a lot going on right now in the world. Everybody's always scared of losing their identity, right? Not having an identity crisis, but an identity theft crisis. We're all connected to the internet with these things all day long, right? We're connected in some way, shape, or form, right? You could disconnect in sensitive spots, and you can make sure that your identity and your data is not stolen by checking out one of our sponsors here, Silent, SLNT.com/Sean. Between the government, big tech, corporate America, and criminals, your privacy is compromised 24/7. There is no other option. You have to protect yourself. That starts with Silent. Silent's Faraday products block all incoming and outgoing signals so that your devices are invisible and safe from the outside world. From their backpacks, phone sleeves, and even pants. Patented signal blocking technology blocks wireless signals, giving you peace of mind that your data does not end up in the wrong hands. Just place your device inside, close it, and that's all you've got to do. You're then safeguarded from unauthorized access. Silent's Faraday product stops all signals, it blocks radiation, and it prevents tracking and hacking. That means nobody's going to be able to reach you, though. So use it only in those situations where you need that privacy. Folks, backpacks, pants, phone sleeves, cases, all sorts of good stuff for your safety, for the safety and the security of your identity. That is Silent, SLNT.com/Sean. Silent, SLNT.com/Sean to save 15% off and free shipping on qualifying orders. That is Silent, SLNT.com/Sean. Sierra Hotel Alpha Whiskey November, silent.com/SHAWN. All right. Couple things now. As we head into this next segment, we're going to talk about the Iranian nuclear strikes, the fake news, what they did regarding the strikes and how they characterized the strikes, the rumors and the leaks that came out as a result of leaked intel documents and whatnot. You remember yesterday the F-bomb heard around the world, right? It was the biggest, this big, beautiful F-bomb. We're going to play it again. Here it comes.
You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
They don't know what they're doing, right? They don't know what the F they're doing. What led to that? What led to that? There were huge, I guess, bombs lobbed to Trump by the mainstream media about a leaked intel report that suggested that the Iranian nuclear sites were not completely destroyed. Well, the IAEA says that the United States strikes on Iran were very damaging. Now, were these facilities completely and totally destroyed? I don't know. Nobody really knows. But did they set the nuclear facility back several years? I think so. But CNN, the New York Times, and their anonymous sources who strike again have this idea that it didn't set it back a couple of years. It only set it back a couple of months. The International Atomic Energy Agency, which is a UN, look, I don't love the UN, but they're a UN watchdog, said that they found more damage beyond what the first satellite images at Fordo showed, according to the New York Post. Officials were able to identify additional bunker-busting strikes that were at the road leading up to the facility, as well as the entrance to the nuclear site underground. There were 14 total bunker buster bombs weighing 30,000 pounds each, or as I call it, one Chris Christie, dropped on Fordo, which was buried deep underground at Natanz, because the post-millennial can't seem to proofread their crap. The IAEA chief Rafael Grossi said they found 2 impact holes from the U.S. strikes above the underground halls that had been used for enrichment as well as for storage. Based on its knowledge of what these halls contained, the IAEA assesses that this strike may have caused localized contamination and chemical hazards. The U.S. hit Natanz as well as Isfahan with cruise missiles from a nuclear-powered submarine. Although the IAEA said there may be chemical contamination, it said that there had been no radiological impact to the surrounding population. That's what we need, radioactive Iranians. No, we don't want that. But here is what Donald Trump said before the F-bomb heard around the world, and you could see how personally he takes it when people question the effectiveness of our military. That's what set him off here. He doesn't like seeing our military getting thrown under the bus and being slighted by fake news media anonymous source losers. Watch this.
Have you spoken to him this morning? How confident are you
I think it's been completely demolished. I think the reason we're here is because those pilots, those B-2 pilots, did an unbelievable job. And, you know, the fake news, like CNN in particular, they're trying to say, well, I agree that it was destroyed, but maybe not that destroyed. You know what they're doing? They're really hurting great pilots that put their lives in the line. CNN is scum, and so is MSDNC. They're all, and frankly, the networks aren't much better. It's all fake news, but they should not have done that. Those pilots hit their targets. Those targets were obliterated, and the pilots should be given credit. They're not after the pilots, they're after me. They want to try and demean.
You don't believe that Iran can rebuild its nuclear program?
Iran will never rebuild its nuclear. From there? Absolutely not. That place is under rock. That place is demolished. The B-2 pilots did their job. They did it better than anybody could even imagine. They hit late in the evening. It was dark with no moon, and they hit that target with every one of those things, and that place is gone. But when I see CNN all night long, they're trying to say, well, maybe it wasn't really as demolished as we thought. It was demolished. You take a look at the pinpricks, and you see that place is gone. And I will say, I think CNN ought to apologize to the pilots of the B-2s. I think that MSDNC ought to apologize. I think these guys really, these networks and these cable networks are real losers. You really are. You're real losers.
They're losers, he says, and I can't disagree with him. You know, the White House also slammed the anonymous sourcing of these documents and these leaks that came out. It was a complete and total. I mean, you are dishonoring our military, essentially, when you have the Pentagon, when you have the Department of Defense, when you have the President of the United States saying, look at this success. And they're saying, well, it wasn't really a success, was it? Because an anonymous source gave us some information that, that it didn't go exactly as planned. Caroline Leavitt absolutely laid the smackdown on these people on a post on X. She says fake news strikes again. This alleged assessment is flat out wrong and was classified as, quote, top secret, but was still leaked to CNN by an anonymous low-level loser in the intelligence community. The leaking of this alleged assessment is a clear attempt to demean. This CNN story was written by the same reporter who wrote the very first fake news story claiming the Hunter Biden laptop was disinformation. Natasha Bertrand. Okay. This was one of those reports from CNN that claimed that the nuclear facilities weren't completely obliterated or weren't obliterated as much as, that we had hoped. Donald Trump is very upset about that. And here he is today, or this was either today or this was yesterday at that NATO summit, taking questions about it as well, going down the same path, essentially lighting the fake news media up as they deserve it, right? They deserve to be lit up about this because this is when the military carried out this mission, Donald Trump applauded them. He's taking this not as you're offending him, but that you're coming at the military, and you're coming at the military just to score points against Donald Trump. He's not standing for it. Watch.
This was an unbelievable hit by genius pilots and genius people in the military, and they're not being given credit for it because we have scum that's in this group, and not all of you are. You have some great reporters, but you have scum. CNN is scum. MSDNC is scum. The New York Times is scum. They're bad people. They're sick. And what they've done is they're trying to make this unbelievable victory into something less. Now, even they admit that it was hit very hard, okay? But it wasn't hit hard. It was hit brutally, and it knocked it out. The original word that I use, I guess it got us in trouble because it's a strong word. It was obliteration.
Obliteration. And Donald Trump, again, is saying that they're not giving credit to the military because they don't want to give credit to Donald Trump. It's another case of Trump derangement syndrome. Now, I want to talk about these strikes again for a minute and the popularity of the strikes. I know a lot of people were anti-war. And, the minute Israel jumped into the conflict, I had even said, I don't want the United States involved. A lot of people said, oh, calm down. It's not. I said, no. I'm not saying that if the United States gets involved, it's going to be World War III. I don't want them involved, right? I would rather Israel be able to handle this by themselves, Not that I don't support them. And of course, I have no problem supporting Israel defensively, restocking the Iron Dome, preventing, civilian deaths in Israel, all of that, right? I did not want to get involved. I want to make something very clear. If you're anti-war, but you're not necessarily anti-Israel and you don't have IDS, JDS, Israel derangement or Jew derangement syndrome, if you're not one of these, but you're just anti-war, my problem is not with you. I don't consider the anti-war position woke right. I don't consider anybody who takes the anti-war position to be doing something wrong. My problem is not with those people. My problem is with the people, the quote-unquote influencers on the woke right, the Owen Bin Schroyers of the world, the Elijah Schafers of the world, the Candace Owens of the world, the Haji twins, these people, right, the Fuentes, who think they have this inflated sense of self-worth. You are nothing. No, do you hear me? I know you don't like hearing this. You are nothing. You are nobody. You represent nothing. A lot of your numbers are fake. It's propped up by bots. And you are nothing. You have no influence. You have no pull. Maybe you used to be somebody, but you're not somebody anymore. I'm not saying that because it's my opinion. What do I do with my opinions? I back it up with data. Now, when I show you this data, please, until we're done discussing this thought process, don't tell me, but the polls are fake. You know how I feel about the polls. Are they perfect? No. Did many of them do a bad job in 2024? Yes. But by a bad job, what are we talking about? What kind of miss? 4-point miss? Kamala. All right. So if a CBS YouGov poll had Kamala Harris winning the 2024 election by 3 points, right? And Trump won by 1.5 points. That is a 4.5 point miss, right? 4.5 points. And usually the margin of error is about 2.5 to 3.5 points. So it's outside of the margin of error. That's considered a bad miss. 4.5 points. I think one of the worst misses in the election was an ABC poll that had maybe a Kamala by 5, which wound up being like a 6.5, 7-point miss or something like that. Okay, let's say 7 points is the standard that these polls missed by. That's a big miss. That's a bad miss for polling. A CBS YouGov poll went out to Republican voters and self-identifying MAGA Republican voters. Who in the chat would consider yourself a MAGA Republican? Who in the chat would consider yourself? I'm a MAGA Republican, I would say. I'm a MAGA Republican, right? Would you consider yourselves in the chat? Anybody in the chat? Who in this chat would consider themselves a MAGA Republican? Okay, let's see. Who in this chat would consider themselves a MAGA Republican? I'm waiting for, obviously we're on a little bit of a delay, right? But I would say I'm a MAGA Republican or MAGA conservative, but you'd say you're MAGA. Here we go, right there. Boom, everyone, MAGA. All right, look at this. Look at the chat. Okay. And this is proving my point. Right? It's no longer something we have to be shy about. And I also want to do this because I see this as a lazy argument too, that there are people who think that the polls actually aren't real and these are numbers that are coming from nowhere because they haven't been called. Look, if it's not raining where you're at, it doesn't mean it's also dry, in another city, right? You see what I'm saying? So we have to be careful. Look at all these MAGA. Look at the MAGA going on in the chat. This chat's great. This chat's ultra MAGA. We love it. I love it. Okay? So this poll was conducted of Republican voters and self-identifying MAGA Republican voters. Remember, the worst miss in the 2024 election cycle was maybe a 7-point miss. 7. Not 70. Not 17. Can't say that number too loud because then you know what happens. 7. The Q-tips come up. Yeah, they start in 17. 7 was the worst. Take a look at this poll. U.S. airstrikes on Iran's nuclear facility among Republicans. All Republicans, 85% to 15%. MAGA Republicans, 94% to 6%. So, can we agree with this statement? Can we agree with this statement? While we admit and concede that polling is not perfect and that polling has missed before, can we also admit that if a poll finds results like this, that is 94-6 in one direction, that it might be onto something? Can we admit that? Can we admit that? This isn't something that was like 60-40 and maybe it's fudged a little. This is 90. This is almost unanimous. The Insufferables, the Owen Bin Troyers, the Haji twins, the Candace Owens, the Nick Fuentes, the Elijah Schafers, the Dave Smiths. You know what their new name are? Their new name is going to be? Jackie's going to like this because we've done this to other people. They are now going to be known as the 6%ers because that's all they're worth. They're a fringe minority. No, they're not even a minority. They're a fringe nuisance right now. What are you going to get your bots that are following you not to vote for Donald Trump in the 2025 and not to vote for Republicans in the 2026 midterms? Your bots aren't going to, they can't cast votes anyway. They're a fringe nuisance. They're getting less votes than frickin' Mike Rakebrandt. Remember him? In the primary?
That name.
He got 8%. They're only getting 6%.
Wow.
You're doing worse than that, deadbeat.
How's it feel to be a loser?
That's what I'm saying. But it didn't stop them. They're going, but the polls are fake. They're this fake? The same polls that said that Hillary was going to beat Trump says that the strikes are super popular. Okay, if you can show me a poll from the 2016 cycle that said that Hillary Clinton was going to beat Donald Trump 94-6, I will concede my entire argument to you. You were right. A poll, not a probability tracker, a poll. That's a different thing, right? The New York Times needle that started off at the beginning of the night that said Hillary has a 95% chance of winning is not a poll. That is a prediction, okay? Those are odds. That's not polling. That's where people get a lot of confusion with Polymarket. Polymarket is basically odds. It's not polling. If you could find me a poll that was as lopsided as this, I will concede my entire argument and say, you know what, this poll is garbage. You know why? Because there are no polls that had Hillary Clinton beating Trump 94-6. Were there polling misses in 2016? Yes. Were there polling misses in 2020? Yes. Were there polling misses in 2022? Yes. Were there polling misses in 2024? Yes. Are there going to be polling misses in the future? Yes. Are there going to be polling misses that missed a margin of 88%? You're telling me that poll is so fake that it's off by that much? That you're going to have to take 40, you have to have a 44-point two-sided swing? You're telling me it missed by that much. Why? Because you know in your heart of hearts that you're right, don't you? You can't fathom knowing that this is where you stand. The woke right. The fringe nuisance. The 6%ers. It's your feelings. It's your emotions. You don't want to admit that despite everything that you think about yourself, your influence, your audience, your poll, your followers, your metrics, whatever it is, that all you managed was 6%. That's why they're upset. That's why you're upset. That's why you saw. So all of that reporting about Donald Trump is fracturing his base. Donald Trump is going to destroy his base. Donald Trump pissed off a fringe nuisance of people who don't have nearly as much influence as they thought they did. What a joke. These people are a total joke. All right, quick break, and then we will get to Armor Colostrum. And then I have a funny video of J.D. Vance. A very funny video of J.D. Vance. I want to show you this video from yesterday. He spoke at the Ohio Republican Party dinner and told a really funny story about some stuff that had happened in the White House recently, which is, it just shows you that 48, I call him Vance, is having the time of his life. Then we will be rolling right into Live from America for the second hour. And boy, do I have a story that is going to probably make you a little upset in terms of sad. And then also get you angry. It's a J6 story. By the way, just because these folks got their pardons, it doesn't mean the whole J6 thing is over. There's a lot of pieces that need to be picked up from what happened over the last 4 years. And I do unfortunately see a lot of people kind of turning their back, not in a bad way, but they're kind of over it because, okay, you got your pardons, like everything's okay now. It's not okay. It's not okay. There are still families that are reeling over what happened to their loved ones in the wake of the J6 nonsense. And we can't forget about these people. They still need us. Just because they got their pardon, that's a big deal, right? But they still need us. It's like if you break your arm and you get surgery and everything gets reset, you're not like ready to go the next day, right? You got to go to therapy. You got to build back your strength. Like these folks have to rebuild their lives now. They have to rebuild their lives. So I've got a story. You may have heard of it. Bart Shively. It's very sad. It shows you what happened to these people over the last 4 years. Blood is on the hands, again, of the Biden regime, the Biden Department of Justice, and the Bureau of Prisons. So we're going to do that in the second hour. Before we do all that, folks, I want to talk to you about Armor Colostrum. Armor Colostrum, tryarmor.com/LFA TV. Folks, I'm always on the lookout for ways to strengthen my immunity, my gut health, improve my fitness and metabolism, and enhance my skin and hair radiance. This is Armor Colostrum. It can do all that and more for you. Colostrum is the first nutrition that we receive in life, and it contains all the essential nutrients that our bodies need in order to thrive. It can help you reactivate your hair growth and help your skin glow, stimulate stimulate your stem cells and collagen production, increasing elasticity for plumper skin, guarding against UV damage, chemicals, and pollutants from the environment, and it'll help clear blemishes for a glowy complexion. It can help fortify your gut health and ignite your metabolism, and it can fuel your fitness, performance, and recovery. Check it out. Go to tryarmor.com/LFA TV. That is TRYARMRA.com/LFA TV. Tryarmor.com/LFA TV for 15% off of your first order. That's tryarmor.com/LFA TV. Tryarmor.com/Lima Foxtrot Alpha Tango Victor. Tryarmor.com/LFA TV. All right. Let's go to J.D. Vance. This is a funny one. We'll end the first hour on a light note. J.D. Vance, what do you think? You think he's comfortable in this role as vice president? You think he's enjoying himself? I think he's enjoying himself. Oh, yeah. He's on Blue Sky, trolling people on that cesspool of a social media platform, if you can call it that. He's been on Blue Sky trolling nonstop. It has been hilarious to watch him. It looks like he's having fun. Well, listen to this story about, did anybody see this? Did you guys, anybody in the chat see this, what I'm talking about? This was really funny. Here is Donald Trump. Here is J.D. Vance talking about an encounter, a story, an experience that he had with Donald Trump in the White House recently while they were on the phone with a foreign leader. This is hilarious.
And the president looks over at me, puts the foreign leader on mute and says, "This is not going very well," and he presses the red button. my eyes get really big, and I'm like, Mr. President, what just happened? And he looks at me and he goes, nuclear. Nuclear. And 2 minutes later, a guy walks in with a Diet Coke, and he looks back at me and he says, it wasn't nuclear, it's just the Diet Coke button. And so that's the kind of guy, and my fellow Republicans, that we have as the President of the United States.
So J.D. Vance talking about, so it sounds like Donald Trump's a fun dude to work with, doesn't it? Imagine so put yourself in J.D. Vance's shoes, right? Put yourself in J.D. Vance's shoes. Okay? Here's J.D. Vance. He enters politics for the first time in the 2022 cycle. He gets elected. 2 years after entering the 2022 cycle, what does he do? He's chosen by Donald Trump to be the vice president, or his running mate to be the next vice president of the United States. So Vance, who was not involved in politics, gets involved in politics and is now the vice president at what, 40-something, 41 years old, 40?
He's just a whippersnapper.
He's young in the political, I mean, he's 5 years over the age limit to run for president. He's a young guy. He's only 6 years older than me. It's crazy. It's like nuts. Now he's, not only is this story absolutely, hilarious, but remember when Donald Trump had his brouhaha with Vladimir Zelensky, Vance was there. And that was like, 2 months into him being the vice president? And Vance was there scolding Vladimir Zelensky. So think about this guy and what he's been thrown into already. He's had the Zelensky mix-up. You've had people, freaking out over World War III. The Signal stuff, he was in that Signal chat, right? So J.D. Vance has seen a lot so far. Maybe it's more than what he thought he was signing up for, or maybe, he was, smart enough to know that this was what was coming. But I think he's handled it all very well. Now he's sitting in the room with Donald Trump on the phone with a foreign leader. Trump mutes the foreign leader on the phone, which is always fun, right? He just mutes it so he can say whatever he wants. This is not going very well. Hits a red button. Vance is like, what are you doing? I mean, he's got to know that's not a nuke button, right? Because you got to do codes and all this stuff. And Trump just goes, nuclear. Like he's sitting there joking about it. And then the Diet Coke comes into the room and it was the Diet Coke button and Trump starts laughing and saying it wasn't nuclear. It was just Diet Coke. J.D. Vance to me is he's showing me right now that he is thoroughly enjoying this entire experience for the last 5.5, almost 6 months as the vice president. And I happen to believe that J.D. Vance is going to make an excellent 48. And who should be his running mate? Should it be Rubio? I guess we'll just have to see. All right, we're going into hour 2. Here we go. Hour 2 of this morning marathon on Live from America, rumble.com/LFA TV. We are in hour 2 on Live from America. We're filling in for Jeremy Harrell. We're here with you for the next hour. Woo-hoo. Up until noon Eastern time, 11 o'clock Central time, and then I'll be jumping on with the great Michael Patrick Leahy. We do have a very sad and tragic story with regards to January 6th. And so to recap the first hour, for those of you who had missed that first hour, we talked about New York City. We talked about Zohran Mamdani, the fact that New York City elected a Muslim jihadist socialist to be the next Democrat nominee for mayor in New York City, which basically makes him the de facto mayor-elect, right? I know we don't like to look at it that way, but that's just the way it works in New York City, right? The de facto mayor-elect is Zohran Mamdani. Unless something crazy happens and there's an X factor that I don't know about, Zohran Mamdani, okay, is your de facto mayor-elect. Jeremy Harrell is on vacation for this entire week. I'll be covering the first hour. Pete Santilli here for the second hour of Live from America. Good morning to everybody who is jumping in, and we will be rocking and rolling as we continue this morning. So we talked about in that first hour Zohran Mamdani. We talked about how Donald Trump is very upset with the characterization of the fake news media of the nuclear strikes on Iran. He took exception and offense to this idea that the United States military did not accomplish its goal. He's sticking up for the military. Now, this story about Bart Shively, have you heard about this? It's a very sad and tragic story. So a January 6th defendant by the name of Bart Shively has passed away. And he was a United States Marine vet. He became a casualty of the government. It is incredibly sad to hear about a story like this regarding yet another tragedy in J6 world. As you know, we have a good relationship with the founder and president of the Patriot Freedom Project, Cynthia Hughes, and she was one of the first people to send me this information, and it's just heartbreaking. What happened here. And I'm going to basically give you a synopsis of the whole thing. Cynthia made a post on X that said the following: "Let the death of this man be a wake-up call to every person who's moved on and no longer gives a damn about what these men and women endured under the Biden regime. Since the pardons, the silence around January 6th has been deafening. The media has moved on. Politicians aren't touching it again. But the pain didn't vanish from these men and women just because the headlines did. This man, Bart Shively, suffered deeply, and he shouldn't have had to. The Bureau of Prisons must answer for this. The Biden DOJ must answer for this. So must Fancy Nancy and every coward in power who used their positions to politically persecute not just Trump, but his supporters, many of whom languished in solitary confinement for years on trumped-up charges. May you rest in heavenly peace, Bart. Your suffering was not in vain." Bart Shively was thrown in jail over January 6th with stage 2 cancer. Bart Shively got out of jail with stage 4 cancer. He wasn't treated. He wasn't treated adequately. He was left to die. This is what we're up against. This is what has happened, and nobody gives a crap about it because they got their pardons. Everything is okay. It's on the Gateway Pundit, and I'm going to read this word for word because this is an account of kind of how I felt about it when I first heard about this story a couple days ago. As the writer Jen Baker on the Gateway Pundit says, "I was unsure how to start this article as I stared at the blank page and blinking cursor. I want to celebrate Bart Shively and let you all know the awesome life this man led. He was a friend to many and a man whom people looked up to, literally and figuratively. I was trying to navigate between my sadness at losing a dear friend and my anger at why this happened to him without any accountability, so I'm just going to start typing. I only got to know him 3 years ago when I interviewed him for my podcast." Again, this is Jen Baker at the Gateway Pundit. I don't know Bart Shively. "I was just starting to interview the J6ers that were being held hostage in the D.C. Gulag. This is when I learned that Bart had stage 2 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. He was diagnosed with this form of cancer after he served as a Marine and was stationed at Camp Lejeune." We've all seen the commercials, right? We've all seen the commercials. Now, I'm not a cancer expert. I'm going to defer judgment to the people in the chat. I'm just going to ask, when you hear somebody is diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, that's generally, and stage 2, by the way, that's generally treatable, right? For those of you in the chat, do you know anybody have any background on this? I'm going to ask for your expertise. Stage 2 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma is generally treatable, isn't it? I from what I understand, it is stage 2, right? I feel like that's you've caught it early at that point, or early enough where you could treat it. I'm waiting to see if anybody has any background or people are saying yes now. It is treatable. Yes, treatable. It can be treatable. Mom died from cancer. Sorry about that. Yes, it's treatable at stage 2. It is a treatable cancer. It's treatable. So everyone's seeing here that this is not like pancreatic cancer where that's basically, unfortunately, a death sentence. It was treatable. My nephew was cured and all of that. Okay. We have all seen the commercials advertising legal help, something like if you are a loved one, drank the water at Camp Lejeune and was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, call us. Bart is one of those people who had that happen. At stage 2 cancer, at the stage there, Bart had been receiving treatment through the VA until, of course, he was arrested for January 6th. He was left in his cell without medication or any form of help with the illness that he had. It's not like he had the flu. He had cancer. Both the D.C. Gulag and the VA have been criticized for inadequate health care, and hopefully they will both be held accountable. Over the 2 years that Bart languished in the Gulag, he worsened physically as the cancer began to spread. He was continually denied treatment for his cancer, as other J6ers had also been denied treatment for their ailments. In the last few months of his incarceration, the VA and the D.C. Gulag began to finally treat him for the cancer. Now at stage 4, the treatment was radiation. The reports from other inmates were harrowing of what they witnessed of how Bart's so-called treatment was going. He would come back from the VA and he would endure the suffering inside of his cold cement cell, his blood and fluid seeping from his pores, soaking all of his clothes, his bedding, his towels, and smelling of rot. They had 5 treatments scheduled for him, but he only did 4 due to them over-radiating him. They appeared to be frying him from the inside out, either as a punishment or incompetence or both. In June of 2023, Bart had his sentencing for January 6th after he decided to take a plea. His judge made a statement that was stunning. She would release Bart to go home because she didn't want his death on her hands. Judge Gia Cobb found it in her tiny little Grinch heart to give Bart his freedom. On August 18th, 2023, Bart was released from the D.C. Gulag. His dear friend, fellow veteran, Army veteran, and J6 advocate Sherry Sapphire Patriot picked Bart up outside the front of the jail, surrounded by other J6 supporters, and she drove him to his new home in Pennsylvania. He was able to procure himself, through J6 advocates and organizations, a nice single trailer to call his home. However, once Bart returned to Pennsylvania and settled into his new home, he got a surprise at his door. 2 little German Shepherd puppies that he would love and care for until his last days. They were his everything. Mary Goodwin of J6 Patriot News, the Gulag Chronicles, and Patriot Mail Project had this to say about Bart. I first began corresponding with Bart through a phone message after he was released. During that time, he had gotten 2 dogs who he lovingly referred to as my little babies. He would often say they're very adorable, and you could hear the joy they brought him in every message. Bart was battling the VA for medical treatment, but he didn't want to leave his dogs behind, not even for a moment. We talked often about his health and many other things. He especially rejoiced that January 6ers had been set free. Bart was a kind and gentle soul. I will never forget him or the strength and compassion he carried. He was a true hero. Now he is with his Lord, rejoicing for eternity. Bart received his pardon a year and a half after he was released from the dregs of the D.C. Gulag, and that time Bart spent it waiting for treatment from the VA. When they finally had an appointment available, it would be a month or 2 in the future and consist of more tests and more waiting. When he thought he had a chance for recovery with stem cell replacement therapy, he was denied because his body had deteriorated enough and had been so destroyed by the chemo and radiation that there was no longer a viable candidate for the treatment. He was essentially handed a death sentence. And now the Biden regime, the DOJ, the FBI, the radical left, they got another pound of flesh. Everybody who spent time with this man had something good to say. This guy went in with cancer. Stage 2, something treatable. He was denied the treatment. He was twisting in the wind. This is not somebody waiting for a non-essential item. Somebody sent someone a postcard in jail and they're playing psychological games, which is still wrong. But that's not a life or death thing in many situations and circumstances. This man was being killed and was looking for treatment and was being denied treatment in jail. And when he got his treatment, they wrecked his body. They over-radiated him. They made him and his body fall apart to such an extent that for another form of treatment, this stem cell recovery, he couldn't get it. This is disgusting. Where's the noise about it? The point of the matter is this. Am I happy that a very large majority, of January 6th defendants got their pardons? Yeah, I'm definitely happy about it. We've got friends that are J6ers that got pardons. It's great for them. They can no longer be discriminated against, or at least they shouldn't be, by employers. Any of those felonies and pleas and all that, it's off their record. It's gone. It's absolved. It's gone. But there are other things that happen to these people. Families that have been torn apart. Families that have been forever marred and scarred by this. Think about the Kune family, who had a second child on the way. Annette Kune was pregnant with a second child when the FBI kicked down their door, raided their home, dragged her husband out of the house, and she had a miscarriage over it. How do you make a family like that whole? And they're still being dragged around in civil court. When you look at Derek Evans in West Virginia, and he tells this story a lot, that after he returned home from prison, where he was kept in solitary confinement for refusing the COVID vaccine, when he returned home from prison, his poor kids basically had PTSD over the whole thing. Every time Derek went out to get the mail, they started crying, thinking they were going to lose their father again. The pardons are great, but that is not the end. That's not a reset button. In some cases and in some circumstances, it is from a legal standpoint. But from a human standpoint, it's not over. J6 is not over. The worst in terms of the incarcerations may be over. But these people still need our help. They still need our help. And a lot of elected officials couldn't care less, whether it's because they think it's not relevant or they think the pardons have gotten them off the hook. And a lot of us have kind of said, okay, well, pardons, done. And we can't be doing that. We can't be. How do you make the Perna family whole for what happened to Matthew? How do you make the Meacham family whole? George Meacham took his life. How do you make the Shively family whole? They killed him. They killed that man. The Biden Department of Justice and the Bureau of Prisons, by not giving a cancer patient the treatment that he needed to stay alive, killed him. It's not easy to say that. Your government incarcerated a veteran over January 6th who had stage 2 cancer. It's not like he got diagnosed with cancer in jail. He went in with stage 2 cancer because of what happened, the exposure to the chemicals at Camp Lejeune. Everybody knew he was sick. He went in with stage 2, treatable, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And because they screwed it up so badly in that prison, and because and whether it was intentional, whether it was not intentional, I don't know. Unfortunately, I think there are a few people who got a good laugh out of the whole thing. It's sick to say it. It's not funny. It's disgusting. But this guy languished in a jail. Okay, you want to say it's law enforcement? Did he break the law? I don't even know what he did or didn't do on January 6th. That doesn't mean you let a cancer patient die in a jail cell. He went in with stage 2. He came out with stage 4. He just recently passed away. It didn't have to happen. That's the point. What a tragedy. J6 is not over. And this can happen to anybody, unfortunately. And this is why you can't let Democrats gain power again. I don't like Lindsey Graham or Randy Fine or, any of these, a lot of these rhinos. Massey. Massey's off the rails. I mean, he's just off the rails. He's done. But if you sit on your hands in the 2026 midterms, you are going to give back the reins of power to the people who did this. His death will have been in vain. The lessons that we will learn from this death aren't going to be learned. 58 years old. Stage 2 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma for a 58-year-old Marine vet should not be a death sentence. And yet, it was because of the Biden Department of Justice, the FBI, and the Bureau of Prisons. That did not get this man the life-saving treatment that he deserved and that he needed. How many times did we hear from the radical left that these children who are getting body parts chopped off needed to be done to save their lives? And yet you have a veteran in jail with cancer who can't get the treatment that he deserves that actually would have saved his life. There's blood on a lot of people's hands here, folks. We cannot give the reins of power back to this group of people ever again. I hope I'm clear. Ever again. All right. I'm going to stop on that. And we're going to get to a word from one of the sponsors of Live from America here. This is a word from Everyday Dose, read to you by a very familiar face. We'll be right back after the break. But please give our sponsors some love. Everyday Dose, a big-time sponsor of Live from America.
Hey everyone, sorry to barge in like this, but I do want to talk to you about this opportunity for 45% off of Everyday Dose coffee. And this isn't just your regular coffee, folks. If you're like me, you love your coffee routine. I've loved my coffee routine since I was probably 16 years old. Unfortunately, as I've gotten older, some of the coffee that I love doesn't love me back and does cause bloating, does cause jitters, can only drink so much a day, and there's really only so much I can do with it. Now, Everyday Dose is known as Coffee Plus Benefits. And what I mean by that, folks, is A, there is an ingredients booklet in there that gives you a ton of different recipes on how to make cold brew coffees of all different kinds, lattes, different hot coffees, and more. But the greatest thing about Everyday Dose is it is known as Coffee Plus Benefits, meaning that you're going to have 100% Arabica coffee, and you're going to also have lion's mane, chaga, collagen protein, and nootropics that keep your brain focused. No jitters, no heart palpitations, and a ton of different recipes. And you're going to get a frother, a tumbler, a box set with a bunch of different gifts in it, an ingredients booklet for recipes, coffee, and more for only $27, folks. 45% off by going to everydaydose.com/LFATV. That's everydaydose.com/LFATV. Why not expand your experiences with coffee? That's everydaydose.com/LFATV.
LFATV, everydaydose.com/LFATV. Sounds like a pretty cool coffee. I'll tell you what. It's a pretty cool product. There it is. Everydaydose.com/LFATV to pick up that revolutionary new coffee. There you go. All right, we're going to move off of that J6 story. That just pisses me off. It's just, I can't, but I can believe it, and I wouldn't expect the Biden Department of Justice and the Bureau of Prisons to do anything more. You know, it's unfortunately to be expected. But how many of you, we'll just reset. How many of you in the live chat heard about this story before today? How many of you in the live chat heard about this story before today? The Bart Shively story. Did anybody hear about it? It was out and about. I reposted it a couple of days ago when I had it sent to me. I was just waiting for a report on it, kind of to put it in. But how many people in the live chat had heard about this? Natalie says hadn't heard. Right? Nope. Sherry hadn't heard. Let's see. CQ never heard. It's very sad, she says. Yep. Hulky says hadn't heard. Andre had not heard. Look at this. Look at how many people hadn't heard about this story. Let me ask another question. Do you think we should have heard about this story? Do you think it's a story that should be getting a little bit more attention than it's currently getting? Wanda says I saw it on Gateway the other day. They're the only ones who are doing any coverage of it. That's where I obviously pulled it from. Do you guys think this is a story that should be getting a little bit more attention? And I get it. There was a war and, the whole thing. So but, and here's the answer to the question. Yes, it should be getting more awareness. It should be getting more attention. Good. Then can you do us a favor? Can you do us a favor and just, whether it's the article on Gateway Pundit, whether it's a piece of the show that you're going to screen record, or a post that you're going to make yourself, can we go out there and please speak this guy's name and let everybody know what happened to Bart Shively? And can you do me another favor, if you can? And I'm not saying that this is what has to happen, but PatriotFreedomProject.com. They are, they're an organization that is still helping not just J6ers at this point, but folks who are victims of weaponization of government. Okay? Also, RealFreedomTalk.com. Kelly Walker. He is helping people who are victims of a weaponized government as well. The parents at school board meetings. We had Kelly on our show a couple of weeks ago. If you can give those two websites a visit, PatriotFreedomProject.com and RealFreedomTalk.com. Okay? If you've got anything that you'd like to donate to PFP, they're a nonprofit. You could donate to them. But we got to do more for our J6ers. We got to do more. Just because they got their pardons does not mean everything is okay. 58 years young. Don't let that death be in vain, folks. And I, obviously appreciate the support and the comments that you had made in the chat while we were talking about that. Let's move to another crazy story. This one's out of Florida, and whoever's Florida, Mustard. Is it PatriotFreedomProject.com or .org? Can you check?
Yeah,
Just try. I think it might be it may be a .org. I'm not sure. I think it's a .com. They're documentary. .com. Okay. PatriotFreedomProject.com, and if you can, listen. I don't get anything for it. I'm not asking you. I'm just saying this is a good way to help. We know the people behind that. Ed Martin was on the board of Patriot Freedom Project. They're a great organization. They're still helping people. But, it's if you can. It's no obligation. I'm not trying to pull on your heartstrings. If you can, that's where I would suggest that you can go. If not, I get it. Times are tough, but that's a great way to help. If you ever you win the lotto and you want to help J6ers, you can go there and donate to Patriot Freedom Project. Over in Florida, mustard. Okay. Miss North Florida has been stripped. This is something I bet you Ron DeSantis is going to have a very, very, he's going to get sassy over this one. You know it, right? He's going to start bobbing his head. You don't get to take the championships away from our women in Florida, right? He is such a sassy thing, right? Ron DeSantis is probably going to be very upset about this. Say what we want about his decision to run for president in 2024. I disagree with it. I still think he's an effective governor. I love the idea by his Attorney General, James Uthmeyer, to open up Alligator Alcatraz in Florida, and whoever's responsible for this decision should be sent straight to Alligator Alcatraz. Miss North Florida has been stripped of her crown over the refusal to support men in women's beauty pageant. Good. There should not be people with ding-dongs in a beauty pageant. Can we agree?
There's nothing beautiful about it.
There's nothing beautiful about a dude with a ding-dong saying he's a woman walking in. I am beautiful. No, you're not. No, you're not. And it's not sports. I get it. Listen, beauty pageants. I don't know. I kind of feel like it's a beauty pageant, like a car show. Like, ooh, that's the night. I feel like, maybe I sound like a leftist, but this is like people being objectified, right? Like they're looked at as objects and not as people. I don't know. I never got the whole beauty pageant thing, but some people like them. Some people have children that compete in them. That's fine. That's nothing wrong with it. I think they're silly.
A lot of work goes into it, though. I will say they do work very hard.
That's fine, and that's great.
I've never done it, but I see
a lot of work goes into people shining their car too and being like, look, I got a nice car. It's a nice, I don't know. Maybe I'm reading it the wrong way. I don't know. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm not. I just think that, whatever. I'm not a fan of them. A Florida legal group is demanding that the winner of the Miss North Florida 2025 pageant have her title restored after she refused to sign a contract with the Miss America organization that states that, quote unquote, female includes biological males who have undergone sex change surgeries. She refused to sign it. Good for her, right? Remember Stephanie? Does anybody remember the name Stephanie Turner? Stephanie Turner. She's the daughter of Bootstrap Bill Turner. No. Does anybody remember Stephanie Turner? Who that was? I remember this name because I was very happy with the aftermath of the Stephanie Turner stuff. Does anyone remember who Stephanie Turner was? She was the, let's see if anyone, I'm going to see if anyone can remember this, who Stephanie Turner was. I haven't seen it in the chat, but nobody seems to know. We're just not answering. Okay. Stephanie Turner was the fencing competitor who took a knee because a biological male was walking up to compete against her in a fencing tournament. That's who Stephanie Turner was. And Stephanie Turner, there it is. Mercury's got it, the fencer. Stephanie Turner took the knee. She was disqualified. She was removed from the tournament. But she did it because she knew it was the right thing to do. This woman in Florida has taken a very similar stance to Stephanie Turner, a very similar stance to Riley Gaines, and took this stance appropriately and is not backing down. And this is what happens when Riley Gaines was like the first or one of the first, and it became a big thing. It's the Dan Bongino dance party analogy, right? Where one guy starts out dancing like a lunatic. Everyone's like, look at this idiot. And then eventually somebody else joins in with that idiot, right? And now they're like, 2 idiots. And then it becomes 4 idiots. And then it becomes a dance party. And it becomes a movement. And it becomes a trend. And now all of a sudden they're not idiots, but they're geniuses because look at what they started. Everybody's having fun. So it started around, the Riley Gaines kind of thing. And then it branched off into all this. With Stephanie Turner with the fencing is what I think about all the time too. Because she took the loss, but for a greater win. Kaylee Bush was crowned Miss North Florida in August of 2024, but was stripped of the title in November over wording in the contract, which she said violated her religious beliefs, and I believe that will be an argument that will win in the state of Florida, and also expressed concerns about Florida law. Liberty Counsel said in a press release that the Miss Florida and Miss America organizations have refused to revise the contract twice and noted that the Miss Florida competition begins on Wednesday. Liberty Counsel had sent a letter demanding that Bush's title be restored in April. The organization noted that the contract initially given to Bush incentivizes, quote, child abuse in violation of Florida law, due to many Miss and Miss Teen contestants being minors. The specified contract provision incentivizes the castration of minor boys. Thus, Kaylee could not sign the contract, and Miss Florida Inc.'s demand that Kaylee sign with this provision violates not only Kaylee's beliefs, but also Florida law and public policy. The contract that was given to Bush states that, quote, an applicant must be a female, which is defined as those born female or an individual who has fully completed sex reassignment surgery via vaginoplasty from male to female with supporting medical documentation and records. Supporting medical documentation must be in the form of the certification attached, signed by the surgeon who performed the surgery and notarized along with a copy of board certification and a current medical license. No alternate gender-affirming surgery will suffice as acceptable in place of a vaginoplasty. So in order for you to compete in Miss America and to be considered a Miss in this tournament, in this competition, in this pageant, you either must have been born a female or have done irreparable damage to your body. And this, by the way, applies to the minors as well. And Kaylee Bush looked at that and said, I'm not signing that. I'm not signing that. And they took her title away because she didn't sign the contract. Liberty Counsel wrote that Bush objected to the contract, quote, in part because of her own religious, scientific, political, and moral beliefs that sex is immutable, that individuals are born and remain either male or female, that the word female indeed means born a female, and that it is offensive to female dignity to require females to compete against males claiming to be the opposite sex. And she's 100% right about that. These are literally drag queens that are participating in these beauty pageants. And look, I'm not going to say this is as, well, it is in a way, because while I don't like the concept of a beauty pageant, I think it's silly and whatever, but that's my opinion. I think it's weird. Not weird. I just think it's kind of doesn't serve a purpose. Other people disagree with me. Whatever it is, whether it's a beauty pageant, whether it's, a track meet, whether it's a swimming competition, whether it's boxing, right? Or anything, track and field, whatever it might be. Opportunities are still being taken away from real women by men, period. Whether or not I believe those opportunities are quote unquote important doesn't matter. My opinion doesn't matter. There are people who think that beauty pageants are great. There are women who compete in these beauty pageants because they like it. Those women should not have to compete against men in those pageants, period. End of story. They should not have to compete against males. That's the truth. I'm sure there are male beauty pageants, right? Go compete in that if you're a dude. right? So these are still opportunities that are being taken again away from women. This is the exact same argument that I make against Bruce Jenner and people all the time. These soft, I mean, talk about baby poo soft people. That's infighting. That's not infighting. It's calling out being a fraud. Bruce Jenner, now goes by Caitlyn, is a fraud, is a lunatic, and is a hypocrite. Oh, but he supports Trump. I don't care who he supports. That's not the end-all be-all for me. Bruce Jenner is a fraud. Why? Because Bruce Jenner all of a sudden says that he doesn't think it's right that women are losing opportunities to men in women's sports. Okay. Has Bruce Jenner given back his Woman of the Year award yet? No. Did Bruce Jenner apologize for being on the cover of Vanity Fair? No. Taking these opportunities away from actual women? I don't care that he walks around looking the way he looks in a dress and acts like he's a female. I understand that he also has acknowledged recently, or more recently, that he is still a biological male. I understand all of those different things. But my question is, okay, or my point is, for Bruce Jenner, put your money where your mouth is. Give back that award. Apologize for the publicity that you intentionally generated with your transition. He took several opportunities away from women. He was also in an all-women's golf outing in his little golf dress. That could have been an actual woman. Instead, it was Bruce Jenner. All I will tell you is I don't like when I see these situations come out, these events, and you see males taking opportunities away from women. I don't care about beauty pageants. I don't think they're relevant. I don't think they're needed. I don't think they're necessary. Other people seem to think that they are. That's fine. If you have a female beauty pageant and a male beauty pageant, the female should compete against females, the male should compete against males, and that's that. Quote, aside from these entirely legitimate objections, Kaylee's strongest objection is to how this contract's false additional definition of female incentivizes and promotes grievous harm to the health and safety of minor boys. The legal group said that female beauty pageants count as speech protected under the First Amendment and noted that contracts are governed by Florida law must be consistent with the laws in the state. And the current contract Bush rejected, quote, contradicts Florida's legal definition of sex as the classification of a person as either male or female based on the organization of the human body of such person for a specific reproductive role as indicated by the person's sex chromosomes, naturally occurring sex hormones, and internal and external genitalia present at birth. The group also announced and noted that Bush had entered into an oral agreement after winning her title that was enforceable by law in the state. Quote, Kaylee invested time, money, and effort in participating in the pageant process based on the truthful, natural, normal, and usual definition of female that she and every other person understands. Thereafter, on September 1st, 2024, Miss Florida, Inc. presented Kaylee with an unbargained for and novel terms in the contract. Bush said in a statement early last August, I was crowned 2025 Miss North Florida, a title I worked hard for, prayed over, and earned under the clear understanding that this was a pageant for women. The rules were clear. You had to be a female to compete. That's what was written on the website, and that's what was confirmed before entering. 4 weeks later, everything changed. And they took her title away. And they say Trump supporters are a cult. We're not a cult. We don't do cult. There's a lot of people say a lot of things, but I am an orange person, but we don't do cult. You know, the one thing they say about me, they say orange man bad. I'm not bad, but I am orange, 100%. They call me the Cheeto Torpedo, right? I do a tremendous job. In the swimming pool, too, I do a tremendous job. These people are mentally ill. Wouldn't you know there's a story about that, too? There's a new poll reporting mental illness. Sick people, right? We call them sick people, right? We call them very sick people. There's a new poll reporting mental illness by political party, and this is one for the ages. This is going to be, it'll be a fun one. Here we go. You ready? New poll reporting mental illness by political party, and you are absolutely going to love it. Before we get to that, I have a word from one more of our LFA TV sponsors, and then we'll get to this hilarious new poll as we are in the final third of the second hour here. Rumble.com/LFA TV. Go ahead and hit us. Give us a thumbs up on the show. Give us a share. Pete Santilli will be up in about 18 minutes. Folks, here's another one of our sponsors of LFA TV. It is Fatty. This is a great product. Take a look.
Hey, everyone. Enjoying the program today, and I hope you enjoy LFA TV as a whole, because let's face it, we're not getting any younger. However, if there was a way to slow down our aging and live a little bit longer, would we do it? I think we would. You ever heard of Fatty 15, folks? Well, Fatty 15 is a brand new supplement that has C15 in it. You might ask, what's C15? Well, C15 is the first fatty acid to be discovered in 90 years that actually prolongs your life. Over 100 studies over many years were done on dolphins because these two doctors were in charge of basically increasing the dolphin population. So they started introducing this fatty acid called C15, and what they found was something amazing. The dolphins were living longer, and the dolphin pods were growing bigger. It was an amazing discovery. And now, ladies and gentlemen, you can get C15 introduced into your life to slow down the aging process of your cells. And it's not only going to make you feel and you look younger, but it's going to make your body think it is younger, which means you're going to start doing more things again. There's a thing called cellular fragility syndrome. And cellular fragility syndrome happens as we get older. This is going to reverse it, folks. Fatty15.com/LFA, promo code LFA. That is fatty15.com/LFA, promo code LFA. Get your discount today, folks, and start this new journey to help you live longer. Fatty15.com/LFA, promo code LFA today. Now, back to the program. Thank you very much.
There you go, fatty15.com/LFA. That sounds pretty interesting. It does. Make me feel younger. Maybe it'll make my back hurt less. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to take a look at that, though. I think it seems like really cool. All right. We talked about mental illness. We've been talking about the left today, what they did to that poor Bart Shively, what they did to Kaylee Bush in Florida. And now there is a new poll that is reporting on mental illness and the application of mental illness and how many people believe they're mentally ill based on their political party. Wackadoodle. Nuts. Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Who wrote this? Ward Clark over on Red State. I love this website. Daffy. Bat guano crazy. I say bat soup crazy, right? Because they say the China virus came from bat soup, which is bat sugar honey iced tea crazy, right? Half a bubble off plum. Several fries short of a Happy Meal. However you word it, there are always those among us with mental health problems, and sadly, but not surprisingly, a lot of these people pay attention to politics. And it might be politics that makes us mentally ill. Trust me, it's not an easy thing to keep, to stay dialed into. Once again, we see that a lot of them are Democrats, much more so than those who are Republicans. That's right, far more Democrats are more likely to, quote-unquote, identify as mentally ill than Republicans. Why would that be the case? Well, number one, because they are mentally ill, right, Democrats? But number two, what have the Democrats installed, right, in society? What has the Democrats basically told everybody to do? We're all what? Victims, right? We're all victims. If you're not a victim, you're not cool. Right? So, of course, Democrat voters are going to try and play the victim any way they can. And the best way they can do it is, of course, saying that they have a mental illness problem. And, of course, anything could be, you could be hungry and say, I'm mentally ill. You're hangry. You're mentally ill. So, mental illness, everyone wants to be on some sort of new drugs and whatnot. Democrat Texas Representative Jasmine Crockett, an ideal representative for the lunatic constituency, said last week that Donald Trump supporters are mentally ill. Has she looked at the party that she's willingly a member of, or even at herself? Well, obviously not, because if she did, she'd realize that her side is really not well. There's a number of patients who need to be seen, certainly millions, but first check it. James Carville. He may be past his prime with the Democrats and doesn't have the influence he once had as Bill Clinton's main hack, but he's still emblematic of the left's descent into madness. Consider his most recent tirade, which he comes off as deranged. He's always out there dropping F-bombs. Carville has also claimed in just this year that Trump hates his voters. But he's far from the worst in the Democrat Party. If there's a nut scale of 1 to 10, Carville's at like maybe a 6. Whereas Jasmine Crockett's score requires scientific notation. And it's not just the political operatives and elected officials that are on the nut spectrum. A high percentage of Democrats of varying degrees are crazy, by their own admission. 9 in 10 conservatives self-report their mental health to be excellent, 51%, or very good, 39%. So that is 90%. 90% of conservatives self-report that their mental health is either excellent or very good. Those who consider themselves liberals are struggling, with only 20% saying that their mental health is excellent and 26% saying that it's very good. That's not good. So these people in this poll are admitting to being mentally ill. How many times are we told it's insensitive to say liberalism is a mental health disorder, right? We've heard that. Haven't we heard that catchphrase? There's a meme that goes around. I'm sure there are shirts and all these things that go around. Liberalism is a mental health disorder. You guys remember that talking point? Because I remember that talking point. I remember that meme that went around. Well, it turns out it's not actually a meme. Liberals are actually admitting. Only 19% of conservatives say their mental health is poor, while 45% of liberals say they have poor mental health. This is a problem. And it's not us saying this. These are these people. They're saying it. It's not a new development related to Trump returning to the White House either. A decade ago, the University of Toronto, a mentally ill city in Canada, researchers looked at a history of academic literature suggesting, quote, that conservatives in the United States are happier than liberals through the lens of neuroticism. They found that conservatives are more emotionally stable than liberals. This is 10 years ago. Quote, it is understandable, they said, that the happiness differential between liberals and conservatives can be largely accounted for by differences in their mean levels of emotional stability. Republicans are happier and more stable than Democrats. No kidding. Republicans and people to the right of center in general are more likely to have productive careers, stable traditional families, and so forth. They are more likely to have achieved something worthwhile in life, something aside from politics, and that matters a great deal. Happiness and mental stability come in large part from setting and achieving goals. But I think there's a countering cause-effect thread here, that people who are already happier and more mentally stable tend to be to the right of the political center, where the angry, the loony, the jealous tend to flock to the left. It's the cause and effect chain. AB or BA, who knows? But the results are the same. The left is more likely to be unreasonable, unfriendly, nuts, and violent. There's a saying that applies. I can't pronounce this word. Apocryphally. Who uses a word like that in an article?
Apocryphally.
Apocryphally.
Apocryphally. Wow. Look at me.
That's quite a word. Attributed to the Greek tragedy in Euripides.
That's a word too.
Quos deus. I'm not reading Greek. Whom the gods would destroy, they first deprive of reason. That would sure seem to be the case with Democrats. So you have it. I was not about to read Greek. So you have there a very clear-cut example, right, of Republicans, conservatives, MAGA, whatever, saying, yeah, you know, I'm not mentally ill. And then the liberals are like, I am. I have a problem. Now, could some of those conservatives and Republicans be in denial? Sure. Some of them might be. For example, if Elijah Schaffer answered that his mental health is fine, he's lying. That guy's a lunatic. However, I think the overarching theme of this is, yes, there is a poll that came out and has shown you that liberals are self-identifying at a very high rate, and a much higher rate than conservatives of being mentally ill. So it shows you how they think about themselves, and it's very interesting. One more thing now, as Alligator Alcatraz is on the horizon, which we love. For those of you who haven't heard of Alligator Alcatraz, I'm going to play you this video that we played yesterday. This is one of the coolest things I think that has come out of the state of Florida in a while. It'll have everybody's support, regardless of what you think about the 2024 primary, which, by the way, is over, despite the fact that some people don't realize that. The powers that be in Florida, Attorney General James Uthmeyer, Ron DeSantis, and the Department of Homeland Security, as part of the Trump administration, they've approved this plan for a new detention facility in Florida that they're referring to as Alligator Alcatraz. Take a look.
30 square mile area is completely surrounded by the Everglades. Presents a efficient, low-cost opportunity to build a temporary detention facility because you don't need to invest that much in the perimeter. If people get out, there's not much waiting for them other than alligators and pythons. Nowhere to go, nowhere to hide. Within just 30 to 60 days after we begin construction, it could be up and running and could house as many as 1,000 criminal aliens. This presents a great opportunity for the state of Florida to work with Miami-Dade and Collier counties. Alligator Alcatraz, we're ready to go.
Alligator Alcatraz, I think that is phenomenal. I don't know about you, but I think that is awesome, and I think the first inmate at Alligator Alcatraz should be none other than Kilmar Abrego Garcia, and let him sip some margaritas with a gator. Let's see what happens. People on the left, of course, are going to, oh my gosh, you're going to feed illegal aliens to alligators. No, we're going to house them in a detention facility, and if they escape, they're going to feed themselves to alligators. That's how that, aye.
That's really just like every other Floridian, though.
What?
You just go outside and you have to worry about a gator.
Yeah, but but that's the best part about having a prison in the Everglades. Like, Alcatraz, you didn't have to put a big wall because you had the San Francisco Bay and you had this current, you couldn't swim through the current.
Right.
And so, in the Everglades, okay, so you're out of jail. And you're probably in a worse situation now because where are you going? You're going to go into the swamp, and something mean and scary, likely from the Cretaceous era, is going to eat you in Florida, right? Whether it is a giant snake or an alligator or maybe a crocodile or some other mystical beast that nobody knows exists because Florida is its own world, right? It's like Jurassic Park in real life. So, you could step on a water moccasin out there. You're done. You're not getting. So you might as well just stay in jail. All right. You have you're better off. You're going to live longer in jail and probably be happier in jail than if you were to escape. It's not like escaping from a jail in like a major city and then you could just run and you're back in society. You escape from Alligator Alcatraz. You're in amongst animals that are going to kill you quickly, right? Very, very quickly. Like this guy, I think he should be sent to Alligator Alcatraz. ICE arrests a suspected gang member wanted for the murder of a Mexican police officer. I guess he was just here in the United States looking for a better life, right? Sure, he was just here looking for a better life. Ay, right? Mr. Lopez. You guys ready to hear his name? This is a great name. Immigration and Customs Enforcement has detained an illegal immigrant who was a suspected gang member and wanted in Mexico, for the murder of a law enforcement officer. The suspect was staying in the sanctuary city of New Haven, Connecticut. How nice. On June 12th, Orlando Diaz Cebada, known as El Leches. That's his name.
Is that milk?
I don't know.
The milk.
But his name was El Leches. Can you look that up? What is L-E-C-H?
Like Trace Leches.
Yes.
The most American.
El Leches was detained by ICE in New Haven, Connecticut. He is allegedly a member of the Los Panchos gang. Panchos? Isn't that what you use to stay dry in the rain? A group that often works with the Sinaloa cartel. Thanks to... What does it mean?
It's the milks.
So his name is the Milks. What else could Leches mean? What else could Leches mean?
Oh, he's so scary.
The Milks. There has to be more than that. It's got to be more than just the Milks. It is okay. Leches primarily refers to a milk-based dessert from Latin America. Spanish word leche, which means milk. In some slang contexts, leches can also refer to a strong, lecherous desire or craving, or a lecher.
Oh.
Spanish slang used in more casual ways like leches, which can express surprise, annoyance, or even admiration. It's also a more vulgar way to say damn or sugar honey iced tea.
I don't think so. I think it's the milks.
The word leche itself and potentially leches in some contexts can also refer to a person's temperament, meaning to be mean-spirited. So basically, it either means one of three things. It either means the sugar honey iced tea, the milks, or the big meanie. Okay. El leches. Ay, ay, ay. Mi nombre no es Orlando Diaz Cepeda. Mi nombre es El Leches. You're scared of me, El Ayayayito, right?
The greatest thing I've heard
Oh,
today.
my God. I told you these guys with their names. Lopez is Leches number 2. Is he whole milk? Is he, skim milk? What's the deal? Thanks to our brave ice law. I'm surprised. I mean, I'm very proud of you that you knew that it meant milk.
Listen, because I know about desserts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks to our brave ICE law enforcement and federal partners, this criminally illegal alien fugitive wanted for murdering a law enforcement official in Mexico is off of America's radar and not our radar, off of America's streets. El leches. Ay, ay, ay. It's like that. Latin, like where they start shaking and the castanets are going off in the background. He's like, he should be, you know what they should do? They should add him to like the WWE roster, and he should wrestle as a guy with the mask, one of those, luchador. He should be El Leches, big mysterious guy, but he actually might kill somebody. This heinous murderer attempted to evade justice by hiding out in Connecticut. Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin said in a statement about the arrest, "These are the types of barbaric, criminal, illegal aliens." Yes, that's how you refer to them. That our brave ICE law enforcement risk their lives every day to arrest. America is no longer a safe haven for violent criminals. If you are a criminal alien considering entering America illegally, do not even think about it. If you come here and break our laws, we will hunt you down. Criminals are not welcome in the United States, she added. Okay, here we go. Of course, you have El Leches. He should go to Alligator Alcatraz with Kilmar Abrigo Garcia. I am all about it. El Leches. El Leches. So that's a funny name. Thank you to everybody who had some fun with that final story of the day. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Pete Santilli is coming up next here on LFA TV, rumble.com/LFA TV. Thank you all so much for watching and listening. We really appreciate it. Redneck 1776 says El Leche should enter the ring in a milk jug. Coming out like it comes through the milk jug. Pff, there it is, El Leches. Pete Santilli is coming up next on rumble.com/LFA TV. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Hope you enjoyed the 2-hour marathon. It was tough. My throat hurts. And I'm going on now for another hour with the great Michael Patrick Leahy on the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. And then after that, I'm going on a TV show in the United Kingdom. Unbelievable. What a day today. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm probably going to pass out as soon as this morning is over. Again, thank you so much for watching and listening. As your favorite president would say, we will never give up, we will never give in, and we will never effing surrender. And if all else fails, we will just become ungovernable. Thank you. God bless you. God bless this one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I hope everybody has a great rest of your Wednesday.
Adios, amigos.
From what I understand, I will be on with Misfit tonight because he's bringing back everything. So we'll be on with Misfit Patriot tonight. We'll definitely be talking about what went down over the last week or so with the woke right. So that'll be a lot of fun. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. Follow Ungoverned anywhere you get your podcasts, rumble.com/LFA TV. Make sure you're making a Rumble account. And of course, make sure that you're following this channel. In the words of John Fetterman, have a great day. Good night, everybody. Bang gavel. And in the words of Donald Trump, until tomorrow, thank you for your attention to this matter.